Welcome to the Marble Sports Worldwide Podcast, where we discuss and analyze your favorite marble sports. From JMR Marble League to I'll Go Do tournaments, we'll make sure you never miss the action. All marble sports, all the time, right here on the MSW Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Marble Sports Worldwide Podcast. My name is Brendan.
And I'm Commander Wolf.
And this is episode 64. Little bit of flair on that FOA of the podcast. Let's see what the date is, because I never tell you guys the date when I do these shows. Okay, what is it? It is August 31st. Oh, where has the summer gone? 2020, that's right. Coming to the end of August here. And for those of you who think summer is over, it's not. Summer doesn't end until September 21st, I believe, 2020. September 21st of every year. So the summer's still going strong, okay? All right, go to the beach, put your mask on. There's nothing to fucking do right now, okay? COVID sucks. But we all know that we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about marbles. And we have a very special guest coming on tonight, a guest we have on every once in a while to talk about their newest revolution in marble sports. And we sure got a nice one for you tonight. So yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything of interest before we go to the news, except for with one thing. I have one very weak thing to tell you guys. This is the best I could come up with as far as a story for tonight. Okay, so Waf, this is what I was thinking, okay, Waf? I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking, Waf, and then you're going to react to it, okay? Here we go.
Okay.
If a marble is a part of the Crazy Cat's Eyes, okay, it's on the Crazy Cat's Eyes team, would it not be correct to call that specific marble a meowble? Think about it. I'll say it one more time. Really think about it. If a marble is on the Crazy Cat's Eyes, would it not make sense to call that marble a meowble? That's what I got for you guys.
Oh my gosh, Brendan. Oh, we're starting strong, I see.
Well, if any agreement, right? You're in agreement with me, right?
I guess the pun technically works, yes. I would never call a marble a meowble, though.
You said meowble. You said meowble.
Yeah, no, you can't for our listeners, you can't see the face cam in the intro, but I'm very, very disappointed.
He said meowble. Okay, well, anyway, I'm glad that we had that moment. By the way, guys, meowbles, okay? Crazy Cat's Eyes fans, and I'm a big one. I just ordered the hoodie last week. Meowbles is what I go with when we're talking about the Crazy Cat's Eyes, okay? No other marbles can be meowbles, okay? You have to be a part of the Crazy Cat's Eyes. But in any event, see, that's evidently the best I could come up with. I don't have anything for you guys. Zero things of interest have happened between now and last week, as you can tell. So there you have it. But hey, you know what? At least you get to pontificate or ponder or whatever the word is on that topic for the duration of the show, and probably think about how far back Waf's eyes rolled when I said that. In any event, guys, that's enough of that stupidity. Let's go to the news, see what Johnny Marble has in store for us this week.
Hello Marble Sports fans, I'm your host Johnny Marble, and as always I am with MSW, and welcome to Johnny Marble After Dark, because I recorded this at night. So let's get right into the news, and we don't have any news this week. None at all. You want me to do the? Yeah, I'll do the. Okay. Change of plans, folks. We have a little treat for you. As there is no news, we decided to give you something that I did a little while ago whenever there was no news, where I look into a team in the Marble League. And this week, it is the Minty Maniacs, a team that I have a soft spot for. Now, the Minty Maniacs have been in JMR since 2016. They are head coached by Minty Hint and have one of the best hashtags, I think, ever made in hashtag Mint Condition. Now, in the Marble League, they have appeared twice, their first coming in 2018, but their best result came this year when they placed third. They have 4 gold medals, 1 silver and 3 bronze, total 8, with a nice little points percentage of 271 points. It's not bad. Marble League Showdown, they've appeared once, they placed 8th with 1 silver medal and 22 points to the name. Now, the Jubilino tournament, they've had 2 appearances, their first in 2016, but their best result came in 2018 when they placed 2nd. They have 2 gold, 4 silver, and 2 bronze to once again total 8 medals, with a total of 120 points as well. Now, the Minty Maniacs are one of my soft spot teams because of the colors and how they act on the field, and just their team in general. I think they're one of the upcoming teams in terms of fan recognition for what they can do on the field. Now, sure, they don't have the brand recognition of my O Rangers or the, savage speed of the Savage Speeders, but they have something in between and something that anybody who looks at them can feel kind of homey about. It's a nice little feeling. Now, the team members have stayed consistent all throughout their career. With this year, they filled it out Minty Drizzle, Minty Flav, who captained the team, Minty Fresh, Minty Swirl, and Minty Mint. Now, I look forward to seeing what the Minty Maniacs can do in the upcoming events. And, I'm going to have a prediction here, guys. I predict next Marble League, they will place 2nd overall. Yeah, I'm predicting here, you already hear. So, whatever happens, Marble League happens in the future, you'll always say Johnny Marble was right when they predicted Minty Maniacs comes in 2nd. Well, guys, thank you for joining me. I have, of course, been Johnny Marble. This has been Johnny Marble After Dark, and we are going to kick it back to continue on with the podcast. Stay safe out there.
Welcome back from the news, everybody. Thank you, Johnny Marble, for another exciting news segment. Marble Sports has certainly dropped off a little bit here in the past week as the Marble League has come to the end, as you guys know, as we discussed for the last multiple weeks. We're looking forward to new Marble Sports. Sand Marble Rally is being filmed in the process, and Marbula 1 Season 2 is going to roll its way out soon. Starting off with
Sand Marble Rally is also in production finally.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
Did you? Did I completely miss it?
Somehow, somehow. But yeah, it's getting its way out there, so I'm really excited. I'm really excited for that. I don't know what to think about another Marbula 1 season coming already this year when we've had Marbula E and all that. But you know what? That's okay. We're not talking about JMR tonight. We're going to introduce our guest from my another Marble channel that I really love, just to the end of the earth. Creator of the channel that used to be MSPN and is now Marbles Beyond, Hershy. Say hello to everybody out there in the audience tonight.
Hello, everybody out there in the audience.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us tonight.
I'm going to assume they'll be like, hello, Hershy. So if you said hello, Hershy, thank you. Anyways, so Hershy, actually, I think it's perfect way to start off talking with you tonight is actually to hear the information behind why you chose to switch from the name MSPN to the name Marbles Beyond. I know that was a little bit of a decision that you made as a channel, and it'd be good to hear for everybody who doesn't understand the change as much as to why you decided to do this, make this switch.
Yeah, so well, from what I heard a couple weeks ago on the podcast, I think Woff did a pretty good job explaining why we changed the name, but basically MSPN was created to be back a couple years ago when we made the channel to be like an ESPN of the Marble world, where we did interviews and all of that old JMR stuff that we used to do that are mostly still on the channel. We kind of got away from that after, like, pretty much after Not a Marble came out. We haven't done, Marble Nation has kind of slowed down. We've only had maybe one episode over the last, I think, year or something. So it kind of didn't represent what the channel is anymore. And another reason why I wanted to change the name and include the name Marbles Beyond was that the whole point of our channel now, with the series we've had in the past and the series that are upcoming, is to kind of push the boundaries of what a marble sport can be. And so we felt that Marbles Beyond was a fitting name to fit both reasonings for the name change.
Yeah. I personally like the name change. I think it better reflects what your channel does. I remember saying this back in many episodes ago, how I think I literally said the words, your channel pushes the boundaries of marble sports. So I mean, I'm happy with the name change. It'll take a little getting used to, and I know for you it took a little getting used to, because I think we were talking a few weeks ago and you were saying MSPN a lot, and when you had made the name change. So yeah, but yeah, I think it's great. It's great that I love to see that the channel is taking this direction, going towards something where your main focus is what can we frickin' do with marbles that is just mind-blowing and just completely out of the expectation range of anyone watching marble sports. And for me and for a lot of people, I think that's like why your channel is just as good in some ways along JMR, because JMR, while very, very well done, you're getting what you expect there when it comes to marble sports. They do push the boundaries a little bit with the events, but they're not going to put marbles in cars. They're not going to put them in rocket ships or whatever. They're you're lucky to get them in rafts. All right, so I mean, like they're going to kind of more stay within the confines of what marbles do, and especially how they're really overdoing the race stuff right now with the Marbula 1 and the Sand Marble Rally. You're going to see a lot of that very conventional marble sports stuff. So it's just great that you're like, okay, I want to make marble sports, but I don't want to just do what this other channel's doing. I really want to be like, what is never been done before, and where can we go with this? So that always is why Marbles Beyond for me is just great channel. Wuff, anything you want to say about this?
Not much. I guess I actually want to start asking some questions that I think our audience would like to know. First of all, where did you get the idea to do like marbles in race cars?
That was my next question too. That's a good one.
Actually, it was. I don't know if I got the idea specifically from anywhere. I mean, I had seen diecast racing before, and since I can remember, I've always had NASCAR diecast, and me and my brother, when we were little, we would always race the diecast by hand on the floor. And I'm a big NASCAR fan, and I really wanted to somehow incorporate that into marble sports in a bigger way than some other channels have or are trying to. And so with my dad being a three-dimensional engineer, he was able to create the insert that had the marble being held in the car. Yeah. So really, it was the idea just culminated over a couple of years. I wanted to do this a couple of years ago, but I didn't really have the resources for it. So yeah, I don't know really if there's a good answer for specifically where the idea came from.
Interesting. And I mean, what was that testing process like, where you had to, I mean, I'm assuming you had to really take a lot of measurements and do a lot of fine adjustments to make sure the marble was in the right place in the car, that it wouldn't be hampering the car's movement, but also keeping it so the marble had some control, but the wheels have some control. Like was that a large testing process, or did you just kind of just nail it first try?
In certain aspects, we did pretty well off the start, but when I first started with this idea and was trying to get it going, I had a much different initial insert that I was using, just because we didn't have a 3D printer at the time. We actually got the 3D printer for this project, so I was trying to be able to create the insert with other things, not having to create it ourselves. And so starting out that way, it kind of did derail the process a little bit. Talking about the placement of the marble, I kind of always knew I wanted it to be right where like a driver would be in the car, so it looked like the marble was actually in there driving the car, which ultimately they basically are. They're keeping it straight for the most part on the track. But the process for testing on the actual track definitely took a long time. It was over probably a couple of months, and I was at least a couple times every day I was out there trying to get the adjustments right on the car. These cars are a lot heavier than typical diecast that are racing on those tracks because there's a marble in the middle of it. And so you really have to get the angles and the turns just right. And we've had a lot of issues with that, but I think we've nailed it now.
Interesting. That was actually, you kind of touched a little bit on my next question. I want to know, like, what are the real differences between, the cars and the marbles and the actual cars themselves in the case of NASMARB, as opposed to like a regular diecast car? Because I know, I actually do commentary for diecast car racing on one channel, Races and Fun, by the way. We'll plug that real quick. And I know that it's very, very evidently the cars are much more likely to turn and not be able to stay straight. But when I watch NASMARB, it's like sometimes the cars are very straight. They're like straight as an arrow, almost like it was just the marble itself. So I mean, you talked a little bit about, of course, they're different weighted, but like, what are the real differences? Is it really that marble in the driver's seat that's doing the all the straightening power, and how is that working?
I definitely believe that's exactly what's keeping the car straight most of the time. The difference is really between, I use the actual shell of a NASCAR diecast, a 1/64 scale diecast, and then all the insides are removed and the windows are taken out and everything, and it's just the metal is what we use from that. And then we have that, the custom designed insert, and we 3D print it, and that's used to hold the marble inside of the car, and it also holds the wheels on. Early in the process when we were designing the car, we actually were thinking about not having the wheels on the car, and actually having multiple marbles inside of the car to keep it straight. But we felt that the wheels did definitely help it go straight, but then also it makes it look a lot more like an actual car if you have the wheels and they're actually spinning and everything. We went through a process of possibly having the wheels on there but not actually moving or not hitting the ground, but we landed on obviously the car model that we have now. You asked something else. What was the other question that you asked?
I think you covered most of it was just about the difference between the two cars. So the
other question he asked was like if the marble actually affects how much it affects the car's steering.
Yeah, so something that I definitely have noticed, because I initially, when I got the tracks that I use for NASMARB, I was actually testing that with NASCAR diecasts, just normal NASCAR diecasts that are just mostly that metal shell and then the plastic on the inside, just a normal diecast car. And something that I have definitely noticed when comparing that to NASMARB is that, like you said, those cars spin out a lot more and they're more likely to not make it down the track. And something that I've noticed with the NASMARB cars is that when they get sideways and even when they're going backwards, they have a lot more speed and they can actually, straighten themselves out. And that's definitely because of the marble rolling in there. Because the marble is rolling and it's going one direction. It's going straight. It's going forward. When the car goes sideways, the wheels stop moving, but the marble inside is still going. And I think that's definitely what propels the car. We've had cars that have stopped on the track before, but I think it would be a lot more, we'd see a lot more of that if there was not the marble in there.
No, yeah, I would agree. I don't know, it's a different look to it than when watching diecast racing, and I just think is really cool. And do you think that the marble being in the car has been the reason for also more of the kind of crazy moments where the cars like flip over each other and stuff, or is that just more luck based? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, is the marble helping with that too, or is it kind of taken away from that?
It's definitely helping that. Based on what I've seen when I was testing the tracks, like I said, there was a lot less chaos when you have the normal cars. One of the things that having the marble inside of the car creates is instability, and you can see sometimes right off the gate that the gate will drop and a car turns right into the wall, and then it'll bounce back and hit another car, and then they're going crazy. They're not even in turn one and they're all going sideways. And like in race 1 and even in race 2, we did see it with cars that would go backwards right away, but they would carry a ton of speed even though they were way behind. Like your car, Quillo, was able to do that multiple times in race 1.
Yeah,
and I don't think that would have been
like a slow start, and then he'd shoot back up and just take the lead, and it would
usually
be
reverse.
Yeah,
super.
I don't think that
unexpected.
would be. I don't think that would have been possible if you didn't have the marble in there controlling the car.
And it's interesting, and actually, I can speak a little bit to that because I know that from commentating for Diecast Racing Channel, they did mention something to me about when they choose the cars, they do have an idea of who's going to win, especially if they put the cars in separate lanes. 9 times out of 10, or even like 99 out of 100 times, one car will always beat the other one. So if you really knew every single car in the races, you'd be able to predict the winner before it even happened. But of course, it becomes a little bit different when the cars are not in their separate lanes. But definitely, I feel like the marble, it's like rolling in there, and how like it's going to direct the car differently. And even if two cars were of different types and speeds, you could definitely have different results, even if they were in separate lanes. And was that ever a consideration, by the way, separate lane racing, or was it always like definitely want the action of that one lane with all the cars kind of into each other?
I never really considered doing separate lanes. I feel like that would have been pretty boring. I wanted it to be more action, and
Right.
basing it off of NASCAR, I actually was originally trying to do oval tracks, and the cars were actually going to have little engines inside of them, but we're still doing research on that, and it kind of was taking too long, and I wanted to get the series out, so we ended up doing downhill. But I don't want to call anybody out, but I've seen the glass car videos on Marble Fubica, and they kind of use that NASCAR name, but they really don't have anything that has to do with NASCAR in the video at all.
Yeah.
And that's something that I wanted to stay away from, because I'm I'm a really big NASCAR fan, so
Interesting, yeah.
I wanted to, have that action that I know you normally see on track. And something that you were saying about the other cars, like all of the cars on the other channel, all of these cars, they were the exact same car, the same paint scheme and everything before I stripped the paint off and everything. It was the exact same car. So that's something that's definitely different about NASMARB, is that you never know who's going to win.
Yeah. I mean, there are some, just like marble sports, and I love this, there are some cars who seem especially skilled, and then cars who seem especially not, even though it's technically all just luck-based, which I think is always really awesome. We always want the savage speeders and the limers of every marble sports competition, which is nice. But I'm still not happy that the limers didn't qualify for the qualifiers. By the way, if you're thinking that I forgot about that, I didn't. But back to the NASMARB related occurrences here. Yeah, I love that. I love how marbles always add that, like, for some reason, even though they're all identical in a sense, they always add that, like, that complete craziness and randomness and chaos, as we always love to talk about, to the sport. So again, just masterful job with what you did. And actually, Waf, do you have anything you want to mention? Because I definitely want to ask more questions.
No, I really love like how one thing I think we haven't brought up yet is like how a lot the sponsorship system with the cars, like where a lot of members, like for instance, like being a patron, like a top tier patron, I got a marble pretty much for like from the get go, but like other members like come in to like paid for a sponsorship, like they can have like a design and a marble that represents them, and I think it's really cool. Like, it kind of involves the community, and so it adds another level of engagement than previous before. where like it's so now like it's more personal. Like now I'm like before as like in JMR for instance, like I'm really rooting for Momo to win, but now it's like that's Spitzer there racing in my car, and it's like, okay, well, he's got to win. And
yeah,
so,
that's
And he didn't.
something that I knew I wanted to do this right off the start with the sponsorships, because if you know NASCAR, you know that sponsorships are everything. You know, drivers will get a top tier car, even if they're not even that good of a driver, because they bring a sponsorship with them. The whole sport is run by sponsors.
Oh my god! And they're always wearing those like funky get-ups with like freaking Red Bull is in letters in about 20 different places on the outfit.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's almost overdone. Okay.
So I knew I wanted to bring that in and be able to have actual subscribers and fans on the cars, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to fill a whole field with paying sponsors. I mean, they're not all paid, but they mostly are, and that was something that was really encouraging for me when I was doing the initial setup for NASMARB. Was like they don't even know what they're getting into. They'd never seen this before, and they were willing to take a chance and sponsor a car. So I thought that was really cool, and that also kind of goes back to during M Games we had the community coaches, and that was kind of that first step to try and get the community more involved than they are in other channels.
Right.
Although it does have, it's also a double-edged sword, because since I'm really rooting for Spitzer, if Spitzer doesn't do well, then I'm extra disappointed.
Oh man. Well, you could root for the MSW car.
Yeah, I do have that, but yes, but then
they keep facing each other.
Yeah, but then with race 2, what happens
I wonder
is
if that's purposeful. Hey.
Well, with race 2, then like my car does bad, then your car goes to the next race and then it just loses again. So well now I have no one else to root for.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to pick like 3 or 4.
No.
Yeah,
and that's what it's really nice about the sponsorships. I picked like 3 that I really can get behind. Obviously, I want MSW to do well, okay? But if I don't do well, I'll be like, okay, let's at least see how WAF Cars does. I want WAF Car to do well, Spitzer. And then if not that, then I don't know. I think the third one I chose was Nuggets Car, because I really like Nuggets Car. So I kind of have 3 that I'm with. So it's like, and because I know these people in the community, right? And so I'm more willing to get behind that. And this conversation is a continued, never-ending build upon of my upsettedness at channels who do things like country races, where like your country's out or your country's not even in. There's no reason to pay attention. And even when your country's in, it's kind of boring. This is another continuation of me liking the fact that it's personalized. Not only personalized team names and logos and design. I guess the logo will be the design on the car, which you did very well. But also that like, wow, other people I know in this community, other people that are watching this every week or bi-weekly or hopefully not bi-monthly. Hopefully it won't get there. That's just kidding. But like people that are keeping up with this are they have their cars in there, and like I can support some of them too that I know. So it really adds that personal feel to it, which I really like. And actually, on that topic of car design, can you talk a little bit about how you did that? I mean, like they're very well designed. They look great. How did you manage? Obviously, you didn't hand paint all the designs, or maybe you did. I don't know, but like they look great. So could you talk a little bit about how you were able to pull all that off?
Yeah, I definitely didn't hand paint them, or they wouldn't look that good. But that's actually something that I've actually been involved in NASCAR. I don't know if a lot of people in this community know about my involvement in the sport, but I've actually had multiple actual paint schemes that I designed race in the NASCAR Cup Series, and so that's something that I'm actually I have. I've shown them in the
like on TV. You're paint
on TV.
Design?
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I had one a couple years ago,
crazy.
one this year. I've got one coming up later this year, but I'm in school for that. I'm a couple years away from graduating, and then I'll be hopefully in that field, full time. And that's another reason why this is such a fun series for me, is it was combining multiple things that I really like to do. I wanted to have that marble sport that was different than other things, and this is that. It has NASCAR. It's got the designing to it. But what I always would try and do is I would let the sponsor, if they wanted to make their own paint scheme, they could design it, and I would transfer it onto my template that I would use. But if they didn't want to design it, like you didn't design yours. I did the design in full. So what I would do...
I gave you rough guidelines.
What I would do is I'll take the logo that they want on the car, and I typically try and somehow continue that onto the entire paint scheme. So like your colors flow throughout, and it's kind of got that, swooping motion that you see in your marble design. Like Waff's car, obviously Waff's car was based off of his marble, and it's got the 3 different colors separated by the layers like his marble is. So
the earthy Pepsi logo.
Yeah.
So
I think Kaysen called it a radioactive Pepsi or something.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So what I would do is I design the stuff on the computer, and then I actually printed it out on a water slide decal paper. I have to, clear coat it a couple times so that the ink doesn't run and stuff. And then ultimately, it's like there are people out here that do they build custom NASCAR diecasts, and I basically started trying to get into that sort of community so I could learn how to do it for this specific series.
Interesting. Yeah, and like I said before, you did a great job. I mean, I really liked how MSW car came out and won the best in show, so it means a lot of other people liked how it came out too.
Yep.
No, yeah, it's just they look like real NASCAR cars when it comes to the design. So, again, another thing I love about your channel, Marbles Beyond. Right? It's just the attention to detail. Okay, you will go that extra mile to make sure the cars. You won't just like freaking write the name of the team on like a blank car or something. You'll actually go that extra mile to be like a personalized designs, and then it's just great. I love how you do it. Yeah, I mean, Waff, anything about the car designs that you want to mention?
Just that like they're all really good. Some of them, I guess, like for our audience, there was like a design contest where I think like 1 or 2 marbles or designs were picked based on like the voting by the community. So not all of them were designed by Hershey, but the vast majority were, and like all of them like just have that like that polish to them that like just it makes them like they look like real die casts I would go find in a store and buy. Yeah. And like that's just really cool. Like it's so nice. Like it's such a nice, really professional touch to the series.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say you designed them so well that I am willing to literally buy my car off, of course, your website. For when the competition's over, I'm willing to buy that car because the design's so good. And if you're making a design that good, then you're doing the right thing, all right? Because I'm spending money to buy the car because it's a great design. I don't not much else to say. It's just great. So I mean, the attention to detail is always just what always makes me so happy. But I do want to jump over to and one other topic, and I think after that, then we'll do some trivia. So I hope you guys have a trivia question for us or something today. Yeah, I do want to ask track design. I want to talk track design for a moment. A lot of possibilities, of course, a lot of possibilities. So what kind of testing went into that? Okay. What kind of, what decisions did you have to make regarding that? And what limitations did you have, of course, with your makeshift studio and things like that? So what all factors came into the equation when trying to design the best tracks to represent this competition?
Well, initially I was going to try and make my own tracks, so I didn't have anything that was limiting me in terms of materials. But what I found throughout testing is that the tracks that I use now, they're really old because they're not manufactured anymore. They're Hot Wheels Sizzlers fat tracks that are used a lot in diecast racing, like channels on YouTube and stuff. But I tried to go past that and do something on my own, but it ultimately didn't work out. And So that is a limitation, is the amount of materials, because those tracks are pretty costly when you have to go on eBay and get them. But when I was building the tracks, it took quite a while to get the hang of it. One big limitation, like you said, is the space that we have, and you don't think about it when you're thinking about diecast racing, like, oh wow, this takes up a lot of space, but it really does. I'm using a full 2-car garage, and I'm like running out of space because of how crammed it is. And so there is a limitation of one of the tracks I was going to try and make it a little bit longer of a stretch at the end to where it would extend past where the garage door would come down. But then that created the problems of how to get a certain camera shot, and so I had to kind of nix that idea. And so everything's confined into that small space. So that's something that I'm trying to work out for the upcoming seasons of this, if we have more than just the second season that we already announced. But when we're talking about tracks, and I think there's a lot more limitations than you would expect because of these specific cars weighing so much more than a normal diecast car. Usually with a normal diecast car, like we were testing with, we had many different configurations we could use, and the car would make it down to the bottom no problem. But something that we ran into after I had already done testing with a normal NASCAR diecast was that, wow, these cars are not making it to the bottom because for whatever reason, maybe it's the extra weight, or it's that the car will lose control. Like we talked about right off the gate, sometimes it loses control, and sometimes it'll get stuck in the turn, or it didn't have enough of a downhill angle to it to where the car didn't make it to the end. So there were multiple races that I ended up recording and I didn't end up using because it was just, sometimes, like before I recorded the first race, the actual race that you guys saw, there were multiple that were recorded before that just didn't quite live up to what it needed to be. And there were cars that didn't finish both qualifying laps. And I was like, man, I got to do something about this. This was a couple months before the actual series premiered. And this was with our old cars as well. And, right. Something that I don't know if you know about it. I know WAF knows about it. There was certain issues with the cars where, when I was making, I've done 2 different waves of cars. So I have basically duplicates of every car. Because when I was initially making these cars, I didn't have enough research done on them to where when I was taking them apart, I was setting myself up to be able to build them back up correctly. And so there were slight differences. Certain cars weighed a little bit more or weighed a little bit less. There were certain things that were off about each car. And so when it went to recording with those cars, things just kind of didn't work out. And I made the executive decision to just get rid of those cars and completely build every single car and redo all of the paint schemes over from there. And so it really did take a long time. But in the long run, the cars that I have built now compared to the ones I had definitely perform a lot better. And I've definitely learned how to build the tracks a little better as well. But I don't know if I answered all of the questions that you had about that, but that's kind of just a look into the process of, this has been, I announced this, I don't remember what month it was, but it was probably almost 6 months ago now. And since that announcement, I've been basically working nonstop, even if you guys haven't seen all of that.
Yeah, it's been quite, you've been really busy. I know that much.
Yeah.
So for those wondering why it's been taking so long, it's not like he was slacking off. He's either been busy with life or he's been busy working on the project itself. It's quite an undertaking.
Yeah, and another thing, life, right? Another thing that takes a long time that you guys don't probably think of a lot is the graphics that we have on the video. Because those
the graphics are great, by the way. Can I just say that the great graphics, just can't wait till you get your own nice looking studio. Okay, that's when, oh my god, it's gonna be another JMR. Okay, because you do very well with the graphics. It really adds that professional touch. to the whole experience.
Yeah, we've got plans for
some
for the next season. Yeah.
I love how Wafa always knows a little bit more than me. So he's like, I say something, he's like, yeah, well, actually, we're figuring that out already. All right, anyway, anyway, continue with the speaking of the graphics. I do have another question, but finish up.
I mean, over the course of doing the first race, I can't even tell you how many hours and hours and hours of rendering that was to get just the graphics.
God,
that's
dude.
not even the recording and the editing. That's just to get the graphics done. Luckily, I had to purchase a PC for school, and this PC is a lot faster than the computer I was using before, so it does render the graphics a lot faster. But yeah, it would not have been a bi-weekly series if I was using the other computer, just because I think it was at least probably 20 hours worth of just rendering for the graphics on the first race. So it was pretty insane. But there is a lot of work that goes, and this goes for every video on YouTube. Mostly, there's a lot of behind the scenes work that a lot of people don't see, and so there is a lot of time that goes into these things.
No, yeah, and I guess evidently you, more than a lot of other channels, evidently put a lot of time into it too. I mean, like, we won't talk about M&H here, right? But no, yeah, you very clearly, every step of the process is carefully considered, and if it doesn't work out the first time, you'll do it the second time. If it doesn't work out the second time, you'll scrap it and do it again. And that dedication is why even in the place you are, I'm able to be like, okay, this channel is a channel worth watching. I do want to ask one thing specifically about the tracks. I want to know, I'm curious, what was the big differences between tracks that didn't work and tracks that did work? I know there's sometimes it would be it just didn't have enough downward pitch that the cars would make their way down, but were there types of turns or amount of turns or things like that, or direction of turns that you just could not have without cars just completely falling out? Or what was that like?
Well, there's definitely a limit on how many turns you can squeeze onto a track that these cars can finish. And
yeah,
because we're talking about the weight and how it differs from a normal diecast, and in certain ways that's very beneficial for the cars, but in other ways it hurts the cars a lot. I think it creates more action and more chaos, but then it also means the tracks probably need to be a bit shorter and they can't have as many turns. And I can't tell you how many different configurations of just the same track to try and get it to work. Like the track that you guys will see this coming weekend for race 3, this track was done and it worked for the NASCAR diecast, but it didn't work for the NASMARBs. And so it's taken a lot of tinkering, and we've improved certain things. I have actually new tracks based on the first 2 videos. There are actually newer tracks that we'll be using for race 3. We have a new starting gate that's going to be electronic, so it can be done remotely, which will help the consistency of the gate dropping, because I know that's something that is easily noticeable, but not a whole lot we could do, is the speed at which the gate falls, because it's being done by hand. We couldn't really do a whole lot about the consistency of that, but that'll be fixed for race 3. And I've definitely learned throughout the course of building these tracks what these cars can and can't do, and I don't waste as much time on tracks that don't work anymore.
Nice. Yeah. That must have been a tough process to handle, but that must have been frustrating too, when just slight movement of one of the curves and all of a sudden the cars wouldn't finish. But
well, there's also things with these tracks. It's so weird to say, but the first set of tracks, the ones that were used, and we'll still be using them in the future, but ones that were used for the first 2 races, those tracks are 40 years old. They're from 1971.
Wow.
And so they have their issues with, sometimes the turns don't stay together real well. So if you see on the videos, sometimes I had to tape the turns together because the cars would come down with so much force that they would
I
literally
noticed that,
break. They would break the turn in half. That has happened multiple
so
times.
That's why the tape was there. Interesting.
So
okay.
yeah, and that's not even the NASMARBs. That was the normal NASCAR diecast would just bust the turn in half. And so before I even tried to record with the NASMARBs, they were taped up. But these new tracks we have, I think, were from the '90s. And so, and these were never used before.
So do they not make these more in the modern world, or they're just not good modern? The modern ones aren't good?
They don't make them anymore. They they made them in the '70s, and then they made them again in the '90s, and they never made them again after that. So, yeah, you got to get them off of eBay. You can't get them anywhere else. And
wow, yeah. So this is like, these are hard to find. Okay.
Yeah, they're not easy to find. They're not cheap.
Yeah. But anyway, I think at this point, like 41 minutes in, we should head towards the trivia segment. So we're gonna have to play that trivia music. I wonder if it's playing yet, Mr. Waff. What do you think? Is it playing?
No, I don't know, Brendan. It probably is.
Is it playing now?
Time for the don't do this again.
I'm gonna do this again. Is it playing now? Kaysen loves me when I do this. Is it playing now? All right.
It's a great song.
I'm gonna count down from 3. It is a great song, but we have to make sure it comes in correctly, okay? 3.
I appreciate the compliment.
2. Go. I skipped 1. Okay, play it now. We're going to the trivia.
Now it's time for the trivia segment. Come on now, let's go, go, go. Go, go, go.
All right, we're at the trivia. The music played. I'm sure my editor is very happy with my performance here.
He's just going to cut all of that out.
No, usually he just leaves that bullshit in and just drops the trivia music right in the middle. It's like, screw you. If you're stupid, then it's gonna sound stupid. Anyway, we'll go into some trivia. So, Hershey, do you have a trivia question tonight? I don't think I reminded you to bring one.
If you have a trivia question and Waff has a trivia question, I'll come up with something by the time it gets to me.
Okay, so Waff, why don't you start off so I have a chance to come up with something? I do have a not the hardest one, but a decent one for NASMARB. Okay. So you go first, Waff, anyway.
No, I think you should go first.
Okay. And I hope I didn't
Are we supposed to do NASMARB ones?
You can do trivia from anything really, that's Marvel related.
I figured let's fit the theme. All right, I'm not gonna ask.
Well,
about
only
how
2.
Limers did.
There's only 2 races, so I don't know how much trivia there is right now.
No, it's just some little. We'll do some simple trivia like this. Like this is a question I had. So, what car was broken apart in race 2, and which car caused that particular car to split right in half? Waff.
It was Murakami. It was Spitzer who did it.
Yeah. So that is correct, actually. For those who didn't know, that was one of my favorite moments, by the way. I will say, because it shows how intense certain competitors out there on the field may get when they're losing to other competitors on the field. So we're not going to name names here, Waff, but maybe keep your driver in check next time, because not only did you break Murakami, you also then you lost the next race against Quilo, my car, and then you ran right into him too. A very, very strong collision.
You got called out.
Clear.
Got called out by Rick too.
Demonstration of frustration. Okay, so I love that. By the way, that was one of my favorite moments of race 2. Anyway, Waff, why don't you go ahead?
I'm trying to finalize my question, because I
can go ahead and go.
Yeah, go ahead, Hershey. I need some time.
All right. So we're gonna go back to race 1. During the actual race, so not qualifying, the actual race, which car ran the fastest lap?
For the second race?
Question.
For the first race.
For the first race, it was.
I
want to say Electro.
I mean, honestly, my best guesses are Prime or Lamone Drizel. I know Lamone Drizel has been quite fast. He was fast in race 2 at least, so those are my best guesses.
So, Waff, you were probably thinking of race 2 because Electro was fastest in race 2. Oh my gosh,
you're right.
Race 1 was surprising. I was surprised. It was Earl.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting. And what I don't remember. What did Earl finish in that particular race? I don't know if you remember off the top of your head.
Seventh.
Seventh? Okay, so not bad.
Yeah.
It's understandable.
Yeah, because they ran that fast lap, so they actually won the tiebreaker for all the cars that were 6th to 12th. Or 7th to 12th.
And I noticed that you're giving points out for like the fastest lap and the qualifiers winners and things like that. Like extra points, which is good.
Yeah, we give out bonus points like for every. It's kind of a weird way that we have to explain it, but every heat that's guaranteed to happen across the board gets a bonus point for somebody. So like in stage 1 after the group stage. Since it's a best of 3, there are 2 heats that are guaranteed to happen. So across the board, every matchup is going to have 2 heats. So then for the first heat, across all 6 matchups, whoever's fastest is going to get a bonus point. And then the second heat, whoever's fastest gets a bonus point. But then in heat 3, there isn't a bonus point because it's not actually guaranteed across the board for everyone for it to happen. So it's the same way all the way until you get to the final, and then there's just 1 point for the fastest lap in the final overall that's given out.
Right. Yeah. I like that.
So there's some more trivia. Yeah.
That is true. I actually didn't know that it was exactly how it worked.
I don't think I've actually explained that anywhere because it's a little hard to explain over text. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well,
there was something I think I did notice. I will just before you go off. I think there was a couple moments that I was kind of confused about, like how all the points were being given out because it wasn't necessarily explained super well in the videos. So I mean that's probably the only thing I could criticize you for. But I mean,
well, you just got to pay more attention to the Discord server.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But
you almost missed your car, dude. I had to tell you that it was for sale.
Dude. I know. Sorry. I mean, listen. Okay. Well, all I have to say about that is I own like 3 Discord servers, and I'm not even that active in talking in those. I get busy, and like it's reading every Discord server. It's hard. Okay, hard work. All right. And in any event, I don't have any excuses. That's the best I can come up with. So, why don't you go ahead?
All right, so this is another NASMARB question, and I know Hershy's already gonna know the answer to this one, but so Lemon Drizel,
I'll guess first.
Yeah, Lemon Drizel did amazing in race 2. We'll talk about race 2, I think, after the trivia. But how many places did they move up from race 1 after race 2?
You mean from where they finished in?
From where they finished in race 1, and then where they're currently at?
Because I know they were like. If I remember correctly, I don't remember correctly, but if I do, they were like middle of the pack first race, and then I forget if they got first place or like in the top 3. I know there's like one of those two. They did well in race 2. I think it's a fair answer to go about 10 places. How about that?
Well, I'll be darned. Yep, it was 10.
Really? There you go. Yeah, see, sometimes.
Well, he wasn't really middle of the pack. He was.
It was. Bottom
He's basically at the bottom,
or bottom quarter, almost. Actually.
Yeah, bottom quarter.
A 10 is 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 a 10.
Yeah,
okay.
They went from 14th to 4th.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Fourth. Wait, they finished 4th in race 2, or their overall
was 4th? The standings,
Okay, that's what you, dude. I misheard the question and still got it right. That's how Marvel Sports wise I am. Okay. But yeah. Yeah, I remember that turnaround because they struggled in race 1. They tough out of the entry, but in race 2 they were fast. Anyway, I think that is the trivia. That is the trivia for today. So if that is the trivia, then we should go back to the regular episode. So maybe, editor, this is a great time to play that music. Do we have that music? Play that music. Here we go. Play it.
That was the trivia segment. Now let's head back to the show. The show. Oh.
All right, we're back. Music is played. Waf's amazing singing voice again. Thank you, Waf. Yeah. By the way, if you want a reason to listen to the episodes, that's a great reason. The 3 seconds of Waf just going show whoa is the best freaking thing on the planet. So.
If you want to hear more of my singing, you can find the special episodes.
Oh yeah.
Varying degrees of quality on some of them.
Yeah, the whole credits.
I think if you want WAP, the end of episode, I believe it was 12 or 14. WAP
14's where.
Yeah. 14, right? WAP,
but you can, but if you watch
rendition of something.
But if you watch episode 25 on YouTube, you can watch animations with it too. So
yeah, it's got the whole the end credits, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, episode 25. That was a great one.
And then there's episode 50's ending, and then like there's a random Christmas one somewhere where I was like, I'll do this for some reason. I don't remember I don't remember what the Christmas episode was though.
Well, if you're bolder than I don't know if I would sing on the show. Anyway, we are back here to close out the show with a little bit more NASMARB talk. So, I mean, I know you, Waff, you wanted to dive into the details of Race 2, but I would like to hear a little bit more from Hershey as far as, I guess more like what you might consider as for developments on this in the future. Because, I mean, a lot of things come to mind for me when I think, okay, here's NASMARB. If NASMARB's continuing in 2 years, what would I want to see? And, you know, I'm thinking things like, you know, obviously, if you could somehow make it so the cars would go around in a circle and continue,
hold on.
That would be...
Before you say all your
okay.
stuff, I should explain my stuff and then see if I hit all your things.
That would be interesting. Go ahead. Yeah. If you want to do it that way.
So obviously, you know, for season 1, the current season that we're on, there are already improvements that I've talked about with the starting gate. The tracks are newer, even though we'll still use the old tracks some of the time. You know, so those are already improvements we're having. Obviously, the studio is not really a studio; it's a garage. So we're gonna try and we're getting something lined up to possibly record the second season in a studio, which will be a big improvement. You know, we obviously have quality of video is sometimes an issue on the replays where they have to be zoomed in really far, which can still happen with higher quality cameras, and they're really expensive and stuff. But we'll try and get that improved. Like you said, there has been talk, even from the beginning of, and I think Waff would know about this because we talked about it in the patron chat. There has been talk since the very beginning of doing. It's hard to explain to a non-NASCAR fan, but how NASCAR works is they have different levels, and they're all called, something series. So they have the Cup Series, the Xfinity Series is like the,
right.
If it was like baseball, it'd be like the AAA teams, and then there's a third one that's the Truck Series. So it's hard to explain to a Marvel fan because you say, oh, another series, that means a different thing. But, when I say a different series, I would mean like something like that, where it's, different drivers or a different kind of car or a different type of track. Something that we talked about that you just mentioned was to have different types of series named after what kind of track they're racing on. So you would have like let's say we called it the downhill series, which would be what we're in right now. We would have the circuit series. This was before Marble Circuits came out, but we were gonna actually call it the circuit series, which was going to be what you talked about, which was like having ovals or tracks that are more like what NASCAR actually runs on. That, like what I said earlier, we were looking at, and we still are looking at having engines inside of the car, and they'll actually run on their own.
That would be
that's
so cool, dude.
Definitely something that we've looked into, and then we've also looked into doing a truck series. And I think I posted it in a public chat, but if not, there were pictures of, I did a paint scheme on a NASCAR truck diecast that could possibly be used for a NASMARB truck series. So yeah, cameras, tracks. The starting gate was a big thing that I'm glad we got taken care of. Studio, different types of series. What else would you like to see?
I don't know. I mean, covered a lot of interesting things there. I don't know. For me, it would just be really cool if you could somehow get some sort of elevator or like propulsion system as seen in GlassCar, just to keep those cars moving around and around. I know that would be hard because cars are irregularly shaped, but that is just something that comes to mind.
It's not as difficult because like there are NASCAR launchers, that are specifically designed to launch diecast cars.
Yeah, but
but they're not
made to continue them around and around. I don't know.
Here's the thing. I actually have looked into this, and I've looked into probably everything that you're going to say. But I have looked into before.
I would imagine so.
Before I found the possible engines that we'd be using, I was looking at some sort of elevator system to use, and it's not as easy as you'd think. There are a couple of Hot Wheels, elevator things that they've used for like different sets that are like a car wash set, I think was one of them, or something like that. But one of the reasons I think that I didn't want to use an elevator is I think it really takes away from the action in the race, and I think it would mess the cars up going in at the speed that they'd be going in at. And the elevators that I saw, and I'm not electronically skilled enough to be able to build an elevator like that, they were only one lane, so the track would have to go from 3 lanes to 1 to get on the elevator. So I feel like that would kind of take away from the action of it. But yeah, we have been looking into some sort of way to keep him going. If I knew how Fubica did the propulsion system, that would be an option that I think would be really cool. But you know, we've also got the engines, which would kind of...
That's really easy how he did it. He just had like one of those rollers that almost like a paint roller type looking structure, and he just had that thing spinning, and it was at the right height that when the marbles hit it, the spinning of the rolling thing just shot the marble up the track. Obviously, he could be a lot more
controlled,
reckless with it, because the marbles, it doesn't matter which way they're facing, blah blah blah, because they're just gonna like bounce around like a freaking bouncy ball. But yeah, I mean, it was as simple as just like 1 or 2, maybe one on the top and the bottom. I can't remember exactly. It was just like 2 rollers spinning, and it would shoot the marble up, almost like hitting a speed boost in Mario Kart or something like that. So yeah, I mean, I would be interesting to see how that would work with cars. But
I think that would be the one issue with that, like you said, is I can't really be reckless with these things because they do need to stay straight. As much as they can slide sideways or go backwards, you want them to stay straight because, you know, the cars don't really race backwards, you know. They race forwards, and I think that would also mess up the balance of it if they race backwards too much, especially not going in a downhill format, because they would be going more at a level format. But, you know, I've looked at launchers and stuff like that, but everything that I've seen is something that has to bring the track down to just 1 lane, and that's something that I'm trying to avoid. But yeah, we'll definitely look into it more.
Yeah. I guess the only other bright idea I had, as bright as it might be, I don't know, we'll see. I just think it would be so cool to kind of continue to streamline this whole idea of marbles being the star but manning vehicles. And, you know, this would be much further down the line because there'd be a lot more testing required. But I don't know, some sort of like marble cart type thing where it's not like this giant car, but like almost like this very specially designed vehicle that works really well with the marble, where the marble controls it by rolling, but it's kind of like a tinier vehicle where like you could kind of be more reckless and with how it's oriented because of the way you build it, and, you know, sending it through elevators or through propulsion systems, and it being like much smaller but still add like a vehicle aspect. Because I don't know, I always think Mario Kart when I think stuff like this, because Mario Kart, the point of it is like these weird looking vehicles, and they're much smaller than like actually driving around in cars. So like that's what I think of. But like, yeah, just like little vehicles that like are made for the 360 degree-ness of marbles, if you know what I mean, like how they can face any direction. And if I think the whole vehicle marble thing could be have a like and it would be different than NASMARB, because NASMARB and in the cars, in the big cars, that's a separate thing, and that's a thing I really enjoy, and that's a thing I think should still persist. But I think in an own it's other niche way, some sort of marble cart type thing where you have these mini kind of vehicles that are designed to really take advantage of the how marbles are made. That would be so cool. Marble cart, you could call it. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like that idea.
Half the time when you're describing what you want this thing to do, I'm just thinking like, just use a marble, because that's what you're describing. But yeah, I understand what you're saying, kind of. But I mean, they would have.
But I think it could add some cool depth if it was a vehicle of the sort, a vehicle like designed to make it look like the marble is driving something, but also that can handle like not always having to face a certain direction, or it's not going to be able to travel, kind of thing. I don't know if that.
All right,
sense.
so
these are ideas I throw off, and we'll see what sticks. Right
here. if you just start researching that now, and then I'll pick that up later if you have any sort of breakthrough on that front, because I don't have time for that right now.
No, I would imagine so. Listen, I have the ideas, and we'll see what happens. But if I ever have the opportunity to really look into that, I think that would be really cool. Just the same with my idea with marble sports and putting
the humans. Yeah, I heard about that last time.
Humans. Oh my god,
it's a good idea. It is. If it's
maybe.
done well, if it's a good idea. If it's done well, it's a good idea. If it's done not well, then it won't be such a good idea.
I told you, give me some sort of events or layout, and I'll and you never did.
Listen,
if I'm ever in the area where you're filming, I'll be a part of it.
I'm a busy man too. Okay, I will. Because like the big problem with that, of course, is gathering enough people that are all in the same place that are willing to do that. So if I ever have a lot of extra time where I'm like, okay, this is really what I want to do, and there's people that are like, I would need to find people who are like, yeah, dude, I'm willing to like literally do whatever weird event you come up with the little 16mm glass spheres. Then I really would look into that. So I mean, we'll see. Maybe hopefully I'll get around to it at some point. These are ideas that I don't forget about, but I have to wait for that moment where I'm not like just going into college and life is way too busy kind of thing. So eventually I will cover that. Something I've always wanted to do. So we'll see how that goes in the future. But in any event, we are reaching an hour here, so I do want to begin to wrap it up. Hershey, is there anything you want to plug or anything you want to really talk about that you haven't talked about regarding NASMARB or the future of Marbles Beyond or anything like that? By all means.
Well, I know Woff wanted to discuss race 2 a little bit, but
yeah, I was supposed to talk about like how, yeah.
We may have to put off like that detailed stuff till next week. If you have a couple of really interesting points, Woff, go ahead and. I guess
the one main thing is was how like we kind of mentioned how like anybody like because the way the cars are basically all kind of the same and like almost any marble can win anytime. Like I think what was really interesting like with how Le Mans Giselle like they didn't even like if I'm saying they didn't even qualify for the first race.
They didn't get out of the groups, yeah.
Right, but then the second race, they got the first perfect run in NASMARB history, which was only one race later, and it's already gotten like.
I thought it was going to take a lot longer before, yeah, because Le Mans Giselle was 10 heats, 10 wins. I thought it was going to take a lot longer for that to happen.
It was insane.
I wish Quilo was that good, right?
I mean, they did good last race.
Come on, you're getting a little spoiled there. You got to run her up on the first race.
Yeah, I know. I'm
as the 16 seed too.
I know, right? That was so surprising to me how that ended up turning out.
What's crazy is that Le Mans Giselle, who got the perfect run, was a 14 seed. So, I mean, maybe you want to qualify lower.
Maybe.
Good. Maybe so. Maybe that will become
slower cars.
Something we'll discuss in the future episodes. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I think I don't know. This is another event that executes what never forget the first episode we had, Hershey, where we delved in for an hour and a half. We talked about marble chaos theory, or at least for the majority of that hour and a half. And you deliver once again here.
Oh, and what did they do? They got rid of the obstacles in the San Marble Rally, didn't they? After that came out.
Yeah, and it was a whole did you see this year's ending? Oh my god! With the freaking marble drome track, and they didn't even do Sand Marble Rally. Oh, not the kind of ending I was hoping for.
Oh, the last event of Marble League.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it, but I mean, they're going really far. They're going in on the Marbula 1 stuff, aren't they?
if you want to be more upset, check out the abhorrent event, Black Hole Funnel Event 11. Man, that was the first JMR video I'd ever given. I
always say, giant funnels are super boring. I
can't
believe
the JMRC weren't like I was talking to them too after they're like yeah like it's not the best event. Like
I couldn't believe they did that. I couldn't believe I didn't watch it, but I couldn't believe that they, especially with as big as the series has gotten, that they went back to the giant funnel.
I think it was just because of theming, because it was a black hole for space. Because apparently they said
we can
no
cut them that break. We can cut them that break. But if I see the black hole funnel again, it's another.
Well, here's what I'll say. Just go back to 12 events if you're running out of ideas and you have to go to a giant funnel again.
No, but
Yeah.
see, they can't do that. They cannot go back to 12 events. They go back to 12 events, you're going to have hundreds of thousands now upset fans. They're too big to downsize at this point.
I mean, I think it was a bad idea to go extra events anyway, because then you're like, what would have happened if it was 16 events in the previous years? I think they should have kept it even, but, whatever.
What are you going to do, right, Hirsch? What are you going to do?
I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm just going to talk about it, I guess.
There you go. Hey, that's what we do too. I sit here and I scream about things, and then I do nothing about it. So there you have it. Anyways, Hershey, as usual, always a pleasure, guys. Go check out the Marbles Beyond channel. If you've listened this far and you haven't gone check out the channel, just go do it. Come on, Marbles Beyond, marbles driving cars. All right, what could be better? Not much. And certainly Black Hole Funnel is not even close. So there you have it. Another exciting discussion with Hershey, and dude. You're always a pleasure to have on, dude. You are pioneering new grounds in marble sports, and as a marble sports passionist myself, it's just
Passionist.
Is that even a word? Maybe it's a word.
Probably like enthusiast would have been
enthusiast.
I think
You
enthusiast
know what
is
I'm
a
going for. Listen. I don't know what I'm talking about, but hey, dude, as usual, always a pleasure. So remember, go check out Marbles Beyond, and I guess Waf, take us out with the saying we always love to.
Roll on, Marble Sports fans.